All right, so now that brings me to number 3. The third thing women do to destroy a man's confidence is belittling him and emasculating him, okay? So as we were just talking about, where when you're trying to make him something that he's not, chances are there's going to be points of conflict, and there's a very good chance that you're going to say things that aren't nice, okay? And this is where the belittling or the emasculating can occur. And so a lot of women have what I like to call chopped his nuts off, okay? I hope that verbiage isn't too much for some of y'all, but a lot of women chop the man's nuts off and it emasculates him, okay? Now, here's what I have observed with these couples when this happens. This is the extra messed up part. You chop his nuts off. At some point, he's going to try to reattach his nuts, all right? The thing is, men will choose the worst time to try to reattach them. So essentially what it is that you emasculated him. You are undermining his manhood. He has to now reassert himself in some kind of way to regain his manhood. So now he will overcompensate in certain moments, trying to show he's big, bad, tough man, trying to show I'm the leader, trying to show you're going to respect me, right? But all he does is now add more fuel to the fire, and it becomes a bigger conflict. And then you lose more respect for this man. And it's this very vicious cycle, all right? So as a woman, it's important. Now, let me say this before I continue with that statement. To be clear about belittling and emasculating, you know, the way you talk to him can be very belittling and emasculating. So I always say, you don't want to say things like you're acting like a B, okay? Using the B word for a man, not good. You ain't man enough. You need to man up. You acting like a little like anything that really calls into question his manhood, his masculinity, that's a problem, all right? And if you say to me, but he is acting like a B, or he is, then listen, you have to learn either I am dealing with the wrong man, so rather than emasculate and belittle, let me exit myself out of the situation. Or how can I encourage him to be better without emasculating and belittling him and disrespecting him? All right. So, for example, rather than you acting like a little B, focus more on, hey, I think I need you to be willing to handle this in this way. All right. So you're encouraging him on how to do it better rather than insulting the fact that he's not doing it the way you think he should be doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful with your words. And for those of you, because I already hear some of y'all, we got to walk on eggshells with these men. They so sensitive. Listen, nobody likes to be spoken to in disrespectful ways. You don't, and neither does he. Everyone has to be mindful of their words. Everyone has to consider their partner's feelings. If you don't want to do that, respectfully, stay single. That's it. And I'll say that to a man or a woman. If you don't want to have to worry about how someone else feels and how you have to communicate to them, then you should remain single and be happy and free on that path. But if you would like a relationship, then you have to learn to embrace these things. And if they feel difficult for you to navigate, then that means there might be some things within you that you need to resolve. And it also means that you haven't practiced it enough for it to become second nature to you. Because for me, it ain't nothing to be mindful of my words. It ain't nothing to consider how you feel. But I've had to practice that a lot, not just with regular life, but also in being a coach and all these different things. But you can do the same thing. You can practice with your family, with your friends. If you have kids, you can practice with the people around you, with even strangers when you run into them. Once you get comfortable and used to it, it won't be so hard anymore. So back to the main point, you got to be careful with belittling and emasculating. It's only a setup for more problems. And again, it does lead to that man starting to feel more insecure. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of men trying to act tough, but they are hurting on the inside. All right. And though we can make the argument, just as I told you, well, if you have to stoop to that level, maybe you need to exit the relationship. I will acknowledge that even from the man's side, if he's being treated this way, he should exit. But let's understand this reality. The unfortunate, or you can call it fortunate in some situations, reality is that many people don't immediately leave once they're ingrained and invested in a relationship. All right. So even when they're being mistreated, many are hoping for things to get better, so they're not going to be quick to walk away, or they're afraid to walk away. There could be various reasons. There could be unhealthy attachments. But bottom line is, it's not always that simple for the vast majority of people. That's why if we're going to be there though, and we're not going to walk away, then we need to look at what we implement to make this better. How do we improve this situation? And then if we've done all that we can do, then it's even easier now to just say, okay, I can leave in peace. Oh, and one more example before I move to the next point of how you can belittle and emasculate is when you're talking to him like he's a little kid. All right. Don't talk to him like he's stupid. Now, I know some of y'all are like, but he is stupid. So listen, I get that there's moments of frustration. I get there's this feeling of sometimes he just doesn't get it. And that's why you're speaking to him in this way. But I'm telling you, again, if you cannot find a way to communicate with this man in a healthy way, for whatever reason, you feel like he's slow, you feel like he just doesn't care, whatever the case may be, then I would rather you say, you know what, this isn't working. But when you start to engage in these negative behaviors, here's one of the big problems. You develop that habit of going to the negative way of approaching it with him. Trust and believe you're going to end up doing that with other people. It doesn't just stay there. And not just other people, but other relationships. It now becomes your default mechanism. Don't get comfortable doing that. You've got to learn that if there's an issue with communication, and maybe, listen, rather than going to, he's just so stupid, maybe you're not learning how to effectively talk to him in a way that he can understand you and receive you. And I stress the word receive because, again, we are responsible for how we deliver our messages. Not what you say, is how you say it. And if you don't learn how to deliver it to that specific individual, because different people receive differently, then you're going to always have a hard time. So you've got to embrace, it's not just saying the words, it's how you communicate them to make sure you guys are getting on the same page, or to help you guys get on the same page. All right, so now let's before we get to the next one, which is a big one, so please keep watching. All right. Here's your chance to get your questions answered for free. I want you to go to www.askstefanspeaks.com. You can click the link in the description or in the comments section. You'll have an opportunity to submit your question, and you'll have a chance to join my next live coaching call where you can get your question answered, your personal questions answered for free. So again, askstefanspeaks.com. Take advantage of this. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest complaints I get from women about men is the fact that men don't like opening up. Men don't like communicating and discussing issues.